There's a quiet revolution going on right now, and it's all about reshaping the very idea of money. It's happening in places you probably wouldn't expect. So, in this explainer, we're going to dive into a movement that could totally change how you save, how you spend, and really how you think about wealth itself. So, let me just start by asking you this. What if the US dollar wasn't the only game in town when it comes to official money? Just imagine a world where states, companies, and maybe even you could operate with totally different but still legally recognized forms of money. I know, it sounds a little bit like science fiction, but it's actually getting closer to reality than you might think. And here's the thing, this isn't just one single movement. It's really a challenge happening on a bunch of different fronts all at once. You've got stuff happening in state capitals with gold and silver, you've got the whole world of crypto on the blockchain, and then there are these really bold legal theories popping up in the courts. To really get where this is all headed, we first have to understand the system that they're all trying to change. So first up, let's do a quick breakdown of the system we're all living in right now. Okay, it all boils down to this one core idea: legal tender. Put simply, it's the one type of money that the government guarantees will pay off any debt. It's like the official measuring stick for every bit of economic activity, and that's what gives the government its power over money. So yeah, for basically everyone alive today, the US dollar has been the one and only game in town, and it's all controlled by a central authority. But here's the twist. Right now, parallel financial worlds are being built to run alongside, and sometimes completely outside of, this very system. So what do these alternatives actually look like? Well, we're going to explore three really fascinating parallel worlds taking shape as we speak. One is physical, one is totally digital, and the last one, well, it's purely legal. The first parallel world is something you can literally hold in your hand. It's this state-led push to bring back gold and silver, the oldest forms of money there are, as officially recognized currency. And this is becoming surprisingly practical. Look at Utah. They kicked this whole thing off way back in 2011 by getting rid of capital gains taxes on gold and silver. And now you've got states like Texas building their own bullion depositories so you can make digital payments with gold. Florida is even creating entire regulatory frameworks for it. They're not just saying gold is money anymore. They're actually building the plumbing to make it usable every single day. All right, next up, we're going digital. And this is where things get really interesting, because you see this fascinating split between a grassroots, almost populist vision for crypto and a super-structured, institutional one. So on one side, you have the populist dream of Bitcoin mining being a money printer for the people, right? It's designed to snatch power away from central banks. But then, on the complete other side, you have massive institutions building their own regulated private systems to replace the core plumbing of Wall Street. We're talking about things like the DTCC, which clears trillions of dollars in stock trades, all to make huge transactions faster and more secure. This quote just perfectly captures the passion of that populist vision. For them, this isn't about creating some new asset to trade on an exchange. No, this is about a fundamental transfer of power. It's about taking control over money creation away from the big central institutions and handing it over to a decentralized network. Now, this third parallel world is probably the most abstract. But you gotta stick with me, because it's the legal and philosophical foundation that a lot of these other movements pull from. It's all about creating private legal structures that can operate outside the public system. At the very heart of this legal world is this really complex idea called the straw man theory. The folks who believe in this argue that when your birth certificate is created, the government actually creates a legal version of you, a kind of public entity that can make contracts and be regulated. And in their view, you, the actual living, breathing person, are just the beneficiary of this entity, while the state is the ultimate manager or trustee. So what's the countermove? Well, it's to create your own private entity, what's called an express trust, where you are the one in charge. You're the trustee. The whole point is to build this legal fortress around your assets, one that's designed to operate outside the public system's rules and liabilities. It's basically a legal strategy to try and reclaim total financial sovereignty. So, okay, we've got these three parallel worlds. But how on earth do they connect to the financial system we all use every day? Well, that is where new technology comes into play. Look, these aren't just abstract ideas floating around anymore. Really sophisticated tech is being built right now to connect these parallel worlds to the mainstream economy, which makes them actually practical for real-world use. Let's use a concrete example to make this real. Texas is making physical gold spendable in the digital age. It's pretty simple. You deposit your gold into a state-run vault, the value of that gold gets linked to an app on your phone, and boom, all of a sudden you can buy a cup of coffee with gold. It's old money being powered by brand new tech. And the technology making this happen is surprisingly sophisticated. You have platforms using blockchain to create these tamper-proof digital records. They're tokenizing real-world assets to make them super easy to trade. And crucially, they're making sure all these transactions are legally enforceable under the Uniform Commercial Code. That's the rule book for all commerce in the US. They're even creating their own private arbitration systems to settle disputes. This is the high-tech plumbing that connects all these new worlds. So, after exploring all these different fronts, the physical, the digital, the legal, what does it all add up to? What is this new financial landscape actually starting to look like? Well, what we're really witnessing is the birth of a multi-layered system. It's a system where the official, government-backed dollar coexists with state-sanctioned precious metals, with decentralized digital currencies, and with these private, legally insulated commercial worlds. And that leaves us with one final and I think really crucial question. Is all of this evolution leading us to a future with more financial freedom and more choice for everyone? Or is it just paving the way for a more fragmented, more complex, and maybe even a more unequal financial world? The answer to that, well, it's being written as we speak.
Smash that like button and that subscribe button. You see me working hard for the money over here. Subscribe for more exclusive content.